Every generation believes the same thing at some point. We have finally mastered money. They are not just saying that we've improved the system a little. They truly believe that risk is now under control, that the economy works more effectively, and that major crises will no longer happen. There are charts, there are new models, there are complex economic theories. Everything looks quite logical and scientific. But when history steps in, things change. No matter how much technology advances, no matter how much data we collect, the foundation of the system is still the same: human beings. Human behavior, especially when money is involved, does not change very much. People hope, people fear. When they see opportunities, they underestimate risks. And most importantly, people like to listen to comforting stories. One of the most dangerous phrases in financial history is this: "This time is different." This was said by merchants in Amsterdam in the 1600s. It was also said by bankers in New York in the 1920s. It was said again by technology investors in the 1990s. They all truly believed it. Yet the outcomes were often very similar. In fact, the problem is not a single crisis. It is not a single bubble. The real issue is that the same economic illusions keep appearing again and again for centuries. And this happens even though the world has become more educated, more technologically advanced, and wealthier. Because markets are not mathematical machines. Markets are reflections of human emotions, expectations, and fears. In a sense, markets are mirrors that reflect emotions. Inside them there is hope, greed, optimism, and fear. Most of the time, all of these operate at the same time. If you step back and look at history from a distance, you can see a pattern. In the 1630s in the Netherlands, people began to believe that tulip bulbs were more than just ordinary flowers. They thought they had turned into a new investment asset. Prices rose rapidly. People began to say, this is no longer just a flower. This is a new asset class. Logic started following price. Anyone who questioned the prices was considered backward. But the story did not end there. Centuries later, the same logic appeared again. It was said about radio companies in the 1920s, about large conglomerates in the 1960s, about internet companies in the 1990s, and about the housing market in the early 2000s. Each period had a different investment asset, but the mindset was the same. What changed was not the illusion itself. Only its form changed. Every era expresses its optimism in the most modern language of its time. Once that language was trade and empire. Then the Industrial Revolution came and production became the focus. Later came the era of financial engineering. Today everyone talks about algorithms, big data, artificial intelligence, and new economic models. The language becomes more sophisticated, but human behavior remains the same. Because economic illusions do not survive, simply because they are completely false. If that were the case, people would notice very quickly. Economic stories survive because they make people feel good. One of the most popular economic stories people believe is this: growth will now be permanent. In other words, the economy will always grow, as if it were a law of nature. Empires believed it, companies trusted it, governments believed it, and even today many people still believe it. But when people believe that growth will continue forever, something interesting happens. When the economy slows down, people do not question the system itself. They assume it is just a small problem, a temporary situation. It will recover soon. The market will fix it. And as a result, the system becomes more strained. Debt increases. Rules become more flexible. Risk is pushed into the future. The problem is not solved. It is simply moved forward in time. There is another widely held belief in the financial world. Complexity creates safety. Modern financial systems are indeed extremely complex. There are risk models, insurance mechanisms, derivative products, algorithms. All of these are presented as if they eliminate risk completely, but in reality the situation is a bit different. Risk does not disappear. It simply becomes less immediately visible. The system becomes so complex that no one fully understands every part of it. Interestingly, this gives people confidence. People think, there must be experts who understand all this. There are central banks, there are economists, there are regulators. We begin to feel as if we are passengers on a large airplane, and someone must be sitting in the cockpit. This thought comforts people, because confidence is one of the fundamental elements of an economy. But in reality, economic decisions are usually made under far more complicated conditions. They are made under pressure. They are made with incomplete information, and they are often influenced by political considerations. So control is not as strong as we imagine. It simply appears that way. Meanwhile, the costs never disappear. They simply move somewhere else. Debt brings future growth into the present. Inflation quietly reduces burdens. Bailouts spread losses throughout the system. All of this reinforces the idea that pain can be managed without truly paying for it. But history is very clear about one thing. Costs always appear eventually, and when they do, they are not distributed equally. Some people benefit early, some exit at the right time, but others pay the price even though they made no mistakes. Sometimes an entire generation does. The most dangerous moment in an economic cycle is not the crisis itself. It is the moment of excessive confidence, when people believe the system has learned from the past, when they believe risk is under control. That is often the moment when history repeats itself, not because history wants to repeat, but because human psychology does not change easily. And so similar mistakes return in different forms. After every crisis, societies claim they have learned their lesson. New rules are introduced, new laws are passed, new safety systems are built. But as time passes, new generations emerge who never experience those crises. They do not remember the fear, they only see the growth. Old warnings start to sound exaggerated, rules feel restrictive, precaution feels unnecessary, and the system slowly drifts back toward the same old mistakes. Today, technology moves faster than ever. Information spreads in seconds. Markets react in milliseconds. Capital can move across the world with a single click, but the minds making the decisions have not changed. Short-term success is still treated as proof. Rising prices are still confused with real value. And when something works for a long time, people stop asking why it works. They simply assume it will always work. One of the biggest illusions of the modern age is this. We now have more data. We have better models. Therefore, we are safer. But information does not always produce wisdom. More often, it produces confidence. And unchecked confidence can sometimes be more dangerous than ignorance. The truth is simple. No financial system can become more advanced than the psychology of the people running it. History does not show us the future with certainty, but it does give us a mirror. And in that mirror, we always see the same pattern. People sacrifice long-term security for short-term comfort. Real financial freedom does not come from predicting markets. It does not come from beating cycles. It comes from something simpler yet harder, recognizing where the illusions exist. No era is immune to crises. No economic system is permanent. And no technology can completely change human nature. History does not punish ignorance immediately. It waits. It waits until people become overconfident again, and then it collects its price. And often, the ones who suffer the most are not those who believed the illusion, but those who believed the illusion had finally disappeared.